What's up, Yuda for BeatLab. Another episode of Should I Buy It? This time we're checking out a company that I'm following for a long time called D16. They got some really awesome plugins. Excuse me. Some of them are kind of old, really great instruments, drum machines, kind of emulation of the 707, 808, 909. We're not going to check them out today. We're going to check their effects. I do want to say that they're all very affordable. So that's already a big plus. And they're really great. If you are looking for this type of effects we're going to go over, might be a good addition for your arsenal of plugins. So let's check it out. Okay, so here I have just a drum loop. And let's start with the first plugin from D16 called Decimort. And this is a version 2. This is a beat crusher, really musical, really great, very straightforward. Most of their plugins gonna look like this, kind of the same design, which is great. We like the unified design. And the preset system, everything is the same. One thing I would start by saying, right here under normal, you can change the real-time quality and the offline quality. So real-time quality, depends on your computer, how big is your project. We're gonna leave it at normal. But offline quality, why is it normal? Why is it not ultra? I don't understand. If when we export, when we do the offline processing, should be ultra. I'm not unsure why. Maybe because the differences between normal and ultra in some applications might be too big. So when you export, it's like gonna sound completely different. But they're on normal by default. And you can also change the GUI size from right here. Right now it's good for us. So let's play the drums and listen. Here's the main resampler knob. I'm going to take it down. We're going to hear that classic beat crushing effect. And it does sound really nice and musical. We can add some jitter. So it's gonna shake, gonna randomize. We can hear some more noise. Here we can add a filter before the resampling. So it's going to focus more on different frequencies, going to cut some harmonics. Here we have a filter after. And again, these are resampling filters, so they're not regular filters like the one we have here. Let's turn on low pass, pre or post. Here's the frequency, resonance. Whoa. And we got, of course, dry wet. To the left here, we can turn down the beat, kind of the resolution. Create very noisy. We can add DC shift, which will also include the zero crossing in its beat reduction. And dithering, let's say open up the filter. And also dithering, if we take down the resolution, take down the dithering, supposedly when dithering is up, it should eliminate any artifacts and side effects by kind of adding noise onto them. But with low dithering, you can actually hear some more movement. Compared to the max, which is mostly noise. Let's go back. So really great stuff. Here we have the preset system. Let's click browse. We can choose from a bunch of different presets. Fazortan, the classic sampler. All of them are great for some more kind of crushing and distorting and destroying your sound, or just make it sound a bit more lo-fi, a bit more warmer, distorted. You do have this kind of here, if we want to do initialize, so here if I click regular, it's gonna go to the previous preset, but if I hold command or control, I can use these secondary commands for the buttons. And here we just have a preamp, turn it up. So nothing too much going on with this plugin, but a really great beat crusher. If you don't want to use the Ableton Redux, or you don't have any other beat crushers, we did, I think, recommend one free one in a different video called Crush with a K, which is really great. But Decimort from D16, I love it because it's very musical, sounds really nice. Unlike other beat crushers that might be too harsh, here you have all the built-in filters that allow you to do all sorts of things to the sound. Now, these built-in filters that we have here, the approximate filter and the images filter, are described in the manual in some very complex way, So they do very interesting things to the sound inside the resampling engine, and not necessarily just a regular filter that is outputting the beat crushed sound. So very cool stuff. Decimort, high quality beat crusher. Nice. Next one, let's load the Devastor, whatever. Version 2. This is a multi-band distortion unit, which first of all, it looks very similar to the Decimort, but by default, it might confuse us to think that these are the multi-bands, the filters, which are not. They're just 3 filter stages that you can route in all sorts of ways. So first of all, here is the actual shaper, the actual distortion. Let's turn it off, listen to the drums, and width. So we can already hear it's kind of crushing everything. Here we have a built-in compressor, which we can match the dynamics of everything, just flatten out everything. Preamp, how much we're pushing into the clipper. Threshold, everything below this, the threshold will get clipped or distorted. And here we can choose the actual curve, the actual distortion type. You have a bunch of them. And you can hear all of them giving us, that's kind of cool, breaking up the sound, even kind of a gate effect. And the shape will further shape the curve of the distortion of the clipper. Nice. Here we have how the filters are routed with the clipping. So this is the clipping itself, and here's the 3 filters. So all before the filter, we can have 2 before and 1 after. Right, so we can kind of adjust and shape the distortion with these 3 filters. All of them has the same controls: cutoff, filter type, resonance, and the overall volume. Nice. Excellent. Here we have a built-in limiter, which is really great, and it's actually working both on the dry and the wet, so you can just use it as a limiter also if you want. Right now, here's the dry wet all the way to dry, and of course our output volume. One thing I'm missing here is maybe modulation. Would be nice to have some modulation for the filters to create some crazy moving dynamic distortion effects. Again, comes with a bunch of great presets categorized. And it can do anything from slightly boosting the signal to completely destroying it to anything in between. So that's the Devastor 2 multi-band distortion unit. Once again, also in this plugin, we're on normal and normal with sound quality. So again, I'm unclear why it's by default on normal for the offline. Again, might be just too much differences between the left and right. And right here, I'm not going to even go to the options because there's not many. You know, everything we can actually access through the interface itself without going to the options menu. So again, this is also really great. I would say just for the presets, it's good to go over. There are a lot of really great distortion plugins out there. Just for the price, this one makes it very competitive. Go check out the prices, they're very cheap. Okay, so that's the Devastator, really cool stuff. Next one is the, let me delete the Devastator. Next one, and let me make this actually bigger, GUI, let's go big, nice. This is a controllable phaser, basically a phaser. And we have whatever we can expect from a phaser. We have a bunch of great presets. So let's listen to it on the drums. We can hear that movement, that comp filtering, all the peaks and valleys moving. We have 2 main LFOs that we can change. Let's change the speed. So we can hear that warbling. We can change what type of note divisions they are. So let's synchronize them, and then it can be regular notes, dotted, or triplets. Here's the waveform. We have very interesting waveform, including sample and hold for some randomization. And here we can turn down LFO 1 depth, turn up 2. So now we can hear the second LFO, or combine both of them together. They're identical. Here's the actual phaser section. So how many stages, how many peaks or valleys you have, the center frequency of which they're modulated around, stereo phase, which will make the two LFOs kind of move opposite of each other, and the feedback. And here's the dry wet. Let's go through some presets. Oh, that's a cool one. Kind of slowly moving in the background. Nice, so that's the Fazortan. Very simple, very straightforward. The layout makes a lot of sense. The two LFOs, nothing too special about this. It does sound really nice. The phasers does sound great, but it's not like you can achieve this type of same phasing effects from other plugins. But again, if you're used to using the D16 plugins, you want also a phaser, it's a great addition to the package of older plugins. So that's the Fazortan. Right, not just a phaser, nothing too crazy or special. Okay, next one, it's called Godfazer, and you would assume it's another phaser, which it can be also a phaser, but it's actually a multi-modulation unit, and there's a bunch of stuff you can do here. So first I'm going to initialize it, and again, if we want to do the commands here, the secondary commands, we have to hold command or control. I'm going to initialize, and we still have some movement. Let's go to filter 2, nothing here, just the LFO. Oh, and that's because our phaser is still on. So let's delete Fazortan. Nice, and now we don't have anything here. Okay, so this is a super cool device. I highly recommend this one to add some movement to the sound. So it's kind of like not only a phaser, not only a flanger, a rotary speaker emulation, a bunch of filters and EQs, really a lot of different modules here compact into one device. So again, just a bunch of really great presets and stuff. Here we have the ensemble. If I click on it, I can choose between a bunch of different delay-based models. So a bunch of different choruses. Some of them are even modeled after famous synthesizers, panners, tremolo, rotary speakers, a bunch of really great stuff. Delays with the chorus, and each one has its own controls. As you'll see as I change them, some of them might take away controls, add controls, and so on. One thing I don't like is we can't really navigate to the different modules from this menu. There's no arrows, or I can't control click it or something. I have to go into the menu, which can be sometimes hurt the workflow, but that's not a big deal. So let's listen to the panel. Let's actually move this. I'm going to move this to a piano. So let's listen to the piano. As we can hear it move from left to right. Let's try a chorus. Well, that's too much. Let's hit OK here. Nice. Let's try a rotary. So adding a lot of movement to your sounds. Here we have two multi-mode filters, and that's not only a filter, there's also phasers here, there's some EQs, like just peak EQs and stuff like that, and some of them are even based on famous synthesizers. A lot of stuff here, really great. Right, can create very interesting colors and movements. Modulation 1, we'll talk about this in a second. Modulation 2, and the resonance emphasis. It's emphasis because it not always applied to resonance per se. Panning, you can even do mid-side mode, which is cool. You can invert the modulations. Super awesome. And you have two of those multi-mode filters. Here we have the modulators. There's 4 of them, 4 different types. And we can use 2 separate ones. So you can only use one at a time, which kind of, I wish we could kind of use multiple ones. But constant, just kind of changing the left and right. And let's bring up the mod 1 to the filter. So now it's changing between the left and the right modulation. We have LFO. Stereo phase, so it's moving from left to right. We have an envelope follower. So it's reacting to the volume of the sound. And we have a step sequencer. Nice. We also have a second modulator, which we need to apply mod 2. And also filter 2, of course. Here we can change the routing. So ensemble, multi-filter 1, multi-filter 2, or multi-filter 1 to multi-filter 2, and then goes parallel to the ensemble. A lot of different ways of routing these effects. Again, amazing stuff, very straightforward, very powerful to add modulation to the sound. Maybe listen to a few presets. Really great stuff. So if you are deciding between, I need kind of a cool effect, modulation effect to add a lot of movement to my sounds for static sounds and stuff like that, maybe this one is to go instead of what we checked before, the Fazortan, because this also has phaser in it. So this is the Godfazer Advanced Modulation Unit. Highly recommended if you're looking for modulation effects. Really awesome. Okay, next one we got the Redoptor. Is this names of dinosaurs? I don't even know. GUI, let's go big. And this is a vintage tube distortion. So if you need that kind of grit to your sound, let's listen to the piano. Oh, without? With? That's kind of nice. Let's try it on the drums. This is without. And with. Definitely a very lo-fi. We can check other presets later. Let's go back to the piano. So here is just a tube distortion. You have a preamp, again, a built-in compressor that can flatten out the dynamics. Two low-pass and high-pass filters. You can cut the lows, cut the highs. And here's the actual driving section of the tube, of the distortion. So let's say we can kind of adjust how the distortion actually look like. And let's bring up some more gain so we can hear some more distortion. Body, brightness, kind of take out the high harmonics. And the tone, kind of another built-in kind of EQ and filter. Here we have a parametric EQ, so 4 different bands. Here's the frequency of each band, the gain, and the width. I would love if we have a switch here to switch and see the EQ visualized. That would be nice, just to have a more, but it does force you to kind of use your ears, so it is nice, it is cool. Let's check some presets. Let's check some presets on the drums. It might be too hardcore for the piano. That's pretty cool. Nice, we do have a built-in limiter and the threshold for the limiter, so everything below this will get, everything that suppress past the threshold will be getting limited. And of course the dry wet and the main output volume. Let's continue checking some presets, which you can browse, of course, like all the other D16 plugins. That's pretty nice. Let's listen without. That's pretty cool. So quite harsh on most of the stuff we checked now, but I'm assuming just adding a tiny bit on a parallel for vocals, bass guitar can be nice, of course, regular guitar, maybe some synths that needs more grit, can be very cool, but that's a tube distortion, nothing too crazy, but very kind of flexible with the parametric EQ. I wish they had visualized the EQ. That's the Redoptor, I don't even know how to say it. Okay. Next one is the repeater. I'm going to use the piano for this. So this looks slightly different. Let's move it to the middle. We can't even change. Can we change the GUI size here? We can't even change the GUI size. So this one looks different and also have less options for some reason when it comes to the general things we got used to seeing the other plugins. So it's just it's just a delay. There's many stuff here, but it's kind of, regular delay. So let's say, first of all, mix. I'm going to go mix 50% so we can hear the dry piano. Nice. Here we have the delay for the left and delay for the right. Right now they're linked. We can unlink them. So we get some two different stereo effects. Feedback for the left and right, we can also unlink them. We can invert the phase of each, which is cool. Analog will add some pitch variation or delay variation. We can even spread it in more kind of a stereo effects, and we can even turn ping pong mode. Let's link the delay time again. Nice. Here we actually have a lot of different kind of models of delays, which will add different modulation and kind of different type of filtering and noises. So that's kind of cool. Right? That's cool. So that's amazing that we can actually use the delay as a regular delay, but switch between a lot of different models to get a different sound and color. Here we have a low pass filter and a high pass filter and a low pass filter for each side. And overall color to focus kind of a tilt EQ, to focus more on the high and low frequencies. Panning for each one separately, you can link them. And here we have a tap tempo synchronized to the host or not synchronized to the host. So overall, and let's just check out some presets. Oh. Make it a bit older. So overall, a really great, simple, straightforward delay unit that is modeled after vintage models. And this collection of models is awesome. Again, I wish we had the option to change them, maybe from to the screws, to change them without going into the menu, but that's not a huge deal, right? Just change it from here. But that's really cool that we have all these different models of delay. Okay, so that's the repeater. Vintage model delay. Next one, and last two. So next one is the Tekturon, which is super cool. Can we make it larger? Yes, big. Which is super cool. It's a multi-tap delay, and you can do for each delay line, you can do so much here, changing the feedback, the spread, the cutoff, the resonance, decide which tap delay line is active. Amazing stuff, built-in master filter, and here's the grid, like how it's sequenced through the delays, with even a shuffle and feedback. Let's go through some presets for this. This one is really, you can get so much stuff, and the presets they made, it's so great. I highly recommend this plugin. Really creative delay. Let's go and see like the volumes. Right, we can filter here. Oh, that's cool. Nice. So much cool stuff. Right, let's see the panning. They're not panned so much differently, but we can if we want. Let's pan this. Filter type for each tap delay. So it's a very sophisticated tap, multi-tap, meaning that each delay can have its own kind of character, its own type, its own speed, feedback, allows you to create extremely complex delay lines to create all sorts of effects, not just simple delays. So if you're looking for a more, you already have a delay plugin, you're looking for a different type of more creative delay, the Tekturon is, I hope I say it right, it's really great. Love it. Last plugin is the Toraverb. And this is a new version, it's already been a few years, like from 2018. It's a new version of the original Toraverb, which was amazing value to money. It was very cheap. I think this one is a bit more expensive, but still very well worth the money. It's not that expensive. If you're looking for a nice, good sounding, but still can be creative type of reverb. Let's play just the initialized. Nice, that's pretty nice reverb. So here, first of all, the pre-delay we can change, and we can even synchronize it, which I love. I love on reverbs that you can synchronize the pre-delay. Here we can change this, the early time and late time. Everything will be changed by the actual controls of the early reflections and the late reflections. So if I change here, you see the size. It's also changed the early time, millisecond. Bass cut, crosstalk, there's a lot of different ways you can change each one. And I believe there's also even modulation here that you can add. Here, modulation. which you can add for the early reflections and not only for the late reflections. So here, even if I change the feedback, right, it gives him more time here. You can go too short. It's not the shortest reverb. Right, if I go all the way down, what's our shortest? 127. That's pretty short. Let's bring the dry wet up. Okay, here we can kind of mix between the early and late reflections. Here we can go into right or left or even mid-side mode. So each one is more focused on the sides or the mids. Let's bring up some time here because it's too short. Here we go. So we can say, like, let's say the late is only on the sides. Wow. That's, wow. On my headphones, that sounds super dope. That's very cool. And you can change the gain of each one. So I can only use the early reflections for kind of a change of tone. I'd been in a space without getting all the tail of the late reflections. Really cool. Here's the dry wet. If you change presets, you can lock the dry wet. So when I change presets, the dry wet stays the same, which is cool. FX curve of how we actually mix in between the dry and wet and the late and early. Ducking, which is a built-in sidechain compressor. So we won't hear the delay, the reverb as I play, but just in between the notes. And attack and release, how fast and slow is this ducking itself. Comes with a lot of great presets, categorized, and you can do anything from here, from very smooth, nice reverb to a very huge, kind of more creative type of reverb. Toraverb, if you're looking for a reverb plugin, this one is cheap, it's great, it's flexible, it's not too complex, and it can achieve some really nice, smooth reverb tails. So check out Toraverb 2, also highly recommended. So from all those plugins, I would say that my favorites are definitely Toraverb and the Godfazer. Although if you do need a beat crusher, the Decimort is very cool. And I would probably use the Tekturon. I don't know how to say it. But I'll probably use it for some more creative uses if I need to add some cool kind of movement or a sequenced type of sound. The Tekturon can do a lot of cool stuff with like just one sound, even just one note. You can do a lot of cool things. So some of these are highly recommended. Some of these are like you can skip them if you already have those type of plugins. But overall, you can't really beat the price. And D16 make really great stuff. So check them out. They have a lot of other great plugins, including instruments. These are the ones that are fairly newer. I love D16. They've been doing great stuff for a long time. And that's it, guys. Let me know what you think of these plugins, if you already use them, if you have any alternative that you use that you like. But yeah, check it out. Let me know, and I'll catch you next time.